Hello, welcome to video number 3 of our weird square-wheeled car animation with functions. In the previous video, we animated the wheel, as you can see here. Looks great, and now we just have to turn it into a car, and you might think that the hard part's done, and it kind of is, but you don't realize how powerful this animation is until you actually start driving other objects' positions by it. So let's just treat this like a car. I'm gonna go to 4 views here. 4 views. Gonna get rid of this for the time being. And to make it a car, we're gonna have to use 4 wheels. So I'm gonna scale this thing in a bit. That should not affect the animation. Looks good. And now we want to move it this way. We're going to have a tire here and a tire here. And that's, you can't just move it over because, I mean, it's procedural. The function is driving it. So we're just going to have to go to its position track, grab a number. We're just going to use a constant here, and let's say the constant is 3. I'm going to throw it in to Z, and now it's over there, and it's still going to rotate and be perfectly fine. So we can copy this with a Control-C, Control-V, and I'm going to make this bigger. There we go, and then we move it. Oops, I'm scaling it. Let's go like this. Actually, we don't want to move it. I just said we can't, so let's not. And we'll change this to -3. Aha! And it should maintain the keyframes of both of them. Good. So now they're both moving. And here's where the cool part happens. Because the geometry isn't changing, they're simply rotating. I can add other objects and, well, here, you'll see. We're going to make a bar going across, connecting the 2 wheels. Grab a cylinder, do some of this. I'm going to make sure it's nice and center because I like things being symmetrical. Yeah, and that's going to be 0. And we want, of course, you know the middle here is at y equals 1. So we go to y, make it 1, and we have a crossbar, but now of course it's going to be left in the dust. The wheels just take off without it. So we just have to take our cylinder and make it a child of one of the cubes. And now you're going to play it and you're still going to see it gets left behind. What's going on? Well, just a little idiosyncrasy of art evolution. No child-parent relationship or procedural animation, I believe, takes effect until the object has keyframes. So we're just going to make sure we're at 0, we have the object selected, we're going to make some keyframes, and then we're going to play. Perfect. So, we're half done. Let's grab everything here. Whoops, I do not have my select. I do that all the time. We're going to select everything. Control-C, Control-V. We're going to move it over here. Of course, that's not going to work because the position is from functions. So what we want to do, we're going to have to remember how to shift functions again. We want these, see there's the rear tires and the front tires are right on top of each other. So you can't see both sets, but we want these ones to shift over by, I don't know, like 8 units or something. So we're going to grab this cube, grab its position track, and when we want something to shift to the right, we need to subtract something from x, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. That's x. grab my scale shift. I should remember I did this about 10 hours ago. We're going to multiply by 1 and no, let's go 8. And that should go back, I'm pretty sure. No, it's going forwards. Okay. See, you don't even have to know stuff about functions. Let's do the same to this one. Grab scale shift. Add 8 to it. And you'll notice the one I'm editing is the parent of the copy of the bar. So once we change this, it doesn't refresh until we actually scrub, and then it pops over there. So that's cool. We have all our tires moving in sync. Perfect. Now it's not going to be a fancy car because of time constraints, but I'm going to, let's see here, I'm going to make a cube. Going to make it 0 so it's centered. Let's see. Shift it up. That's huge. Shift it up. Scale it down. No, we just want it to kind of sit on top very unrealistically. Now if we play this, of course that's going to be left behind. We don't want this plank here to rotate, we just want it to move, and we want it to move with the same function that we're driving the wheels by. So we're going to take this plank, we don't need any of these, delete, delete. You might need the rotation if you want the car to like turn, but we're not going to do that. And we're going to add a procedural position track. Now we're going to grab one of these tires. You want to just control A. Oh, can you not control A? That's too bad. Select everything. I hope you can control C. We'll find out. And paste it all. Perfect. Goes into time. Z, we don't want Z because it's perfectly center. And we're going to go into the Y. Hit OK. And we see that that is at the center because that happens to be exactly where the center of, well, that's why the tire's there as well. So we want to shift this whole thing over by, I guess, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 should do it. So I'm going to add, kind of gets a little repetitive. I'm going to add 4 to X. Clause 4. Cool. Let's see what happens. I hope this works. Isn't that awesome? Let's go back. Stretch it slightly. Very nice. This is procedural stuff. This is good stuff here. Now the cool thing about this is the tires are moving independently. They're all synchronized because they're based on the same function. They're animated exactly the same way. And these bars here, we've just used the parent-child relationship to make the cylinders move exactly where the cubes are going. We can do the same thing with random objects with the plank. So we do this, move it down here. There's just some object. We can pretend it's a character just sitting on our little car. I'll do this. Let's go like this. Move this over here. And down. Getting some rotate action. Things that are precariously balanced. Now you'll notice my terrible practice of not giving my objects good names, but we can ignore that. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And we know this cube, okay, here, I'm going to rename this to plank. We have these three things, we want to make them a child of plank. Now with those three objects selected, remember we have to create keyframes. And I'm going to go into one view for the grand finale moment. Rotate for some cinematic anglery. And away we go. Yep. Best vehicle ever. Although, in the case of the Mythbusters, they started going really fast, of course, and eventually their wheels fell off. You can go any speed you want. So that is animating a car with square tires. And the power of functions. Because this will go forever with no input from me. And if we want it to come to a stop at any point, there are ways we can do that. I'm not here. I'll talk about it. I won't implement it. If we take this object, we see that it has two procedural rotation and position tracks. Well, one of each. If we want the car to come to a stop, we need the procedural position, the function to end, which we can't really do. And to fix this, you can add a second position track. Actually, no, we don't want a procedural one. We'll delete this. We will add a regular track. And there's something called a wait. I guess you would also put another rotation track in here too. But as we can see, I think nothing will happen now. Oh, it's still going. Okay. Because I have no keyframes. But the weight is basically how much influence this track has on the manipulation of the object. And it's a value from 0 to 1. So you can make a keyframe, set it to 1, make a keyframe of this position, set it to 0, and at some point in the future, you can reverse the two. And setting the weight of the position procedural to 0 is basically like turning that track off. And you can have another one take over. So the procedural track tells it to move procedurally, and your other position track just tells it not to move, and you can basically fade in between one and the other to make it slow down and do various things. Those things are very complicated with functions, so we're just kind of merging animation, traditional animation, with functions, and it's actually working pretty good. One more time. This is the square tire sloth car. Awesome. See you guys later.